Welcome back again. Still talking about getting us to the Red Sea, and Pharaoh is beginning to chase the Israelites. Look at verse 5 with me in Exodus chapter 14. It says, when the word reached the king of Egypt that the Israelites had fled, Pharaoh and his officials changed their mind. What have we done letting all those Israelite slaves get away, they asked. So Pharaoh harnessed his chariot and called up his troops. He took with him 600 of Egypt's best chariots, along with the rest of the chariots of Egypt, each with his commander. The Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, so he chased after the people of Israel, who had left with fists raised in defiance. The Egyptians chased after them with all the forces in Pharaoh's army, all his horses and chariots, his charioteers, and his troops. The Egyptians caught up with the people of Israel as they were camped beside the shore near Pi-hahiroth, across from Baal-Zephon. So they begin to look around and go, we just let all of our workers go. And they see the confusion that was talked about in the previous video. If you didn't watch yesterday, go back and watch yesterday so you kind of see what I'm talking about there. And they begin to chase after them. So there were a lot of reasons not to, right? You could think about why Egypt should have left them alone, namely 10 plagues ending with the death of the firstborn. But when you greedy, right? So Pharaoh may have thought the plagues were the limits of God's ability. I can go get them now. I don't know what this guy was thinking, but he had this idea, and God hardened his heart and sent him down this road. This is where he wanted to go, and God gave him what he wanted, right? He pushed him in this direction. Now, when they go to attack with all of this military, we think about chariots. That's a chariot, right? It's a couple of horses pulling a wagon with a dude in it. That's what we think. In these times, these were tanks, okay? This was modern day tanks. Heavy chariots with armed men in them, with archers in them, with men armed with spears and swords. They would overrun what we think of as light infantry. Guys that are just, standing there with a sword, a spear, a shield. They just would run through them. These things were beasts. And Egypt at this point would have had one of the, if not the finest army in this part of the world. I think in this part of the world, I think you'd definitely say they were the finest army at this point. So the leading military force and most powerful country in this region is coming after a bunch of escaped slaves. This sounds like a recipe for disaster, but it's a recipe for one of God's greatest victories. See you later.